Who are testers? What do they do? And do you need them in your team? This is Software Engineering Explained. Testers are there to ensure the software meets the user's needs. That means they take the requirements and the software from the developers and see if it actually does what it's meant to do. They're not there to test if code logically works. That's the developer's job. If a piece of code is meant to add numbers together, the developers should test the fact that it actually works and gives the right result. The testers will try giving it unexpected input and validate that it works. They might try entering words or negative numbers, or nothing to see what happens. Their goal is to see if code meets the requirements and if there are any edge cases that might cause it to fail. They are trying to find the unexpected things that a real user might do. There is an old joke. A tester walks into a bar and orders a beer. 2 beers. 0 beers. 99,999 beers. A lizard in a beer glass. -1 beers. QWERTY IOP beers. And a new car. You never really know what users are going to do when they get their hands on your software, so it's good to cover all the bases. Once a bug is found, the testers will work with the tech lead and the product owner to decide what should be done. It might be a big deal that has to be fixed immediately. It might be an edge case that you can live with, but this group will all have perspectives to consider. Should you have a tester in your team? Yes, you should always have a tester in your team. Someone with experience of finding these problems is a massive help. They can seem like they're slowing down development or aren't as crucial as the engineers, but if problems occur in production, they're a big deal. Finding them in development just means it's something to be fixed. Testers help with software design as well. Often we see a team discussing new features, and the tester pipes up saying, "What happens if X?" Everyone stops, realizing there is a problem they never thought about. That mindset of always thinking, "What would happen if?" in the design phase can save a lot of time later on. Test automation is very important. Tools can be built into a pipeline so that code is subjected to hundreds or thousands of tests after every change. Automation is fast and far more reliable, so it should always be the preference, but that doesn't mean that there's not a space for manual testing as well. Often you hear companies that don't really understand testing saying things like, "We want to automate all the testing." The problem is, it's not that simple. Some things are really hard to automate. You can automate testing in the browser, but it's a complex and time-consuming process. Test automation is coding like anything else, and it eats time. If you have the resources for that, great, but there will always be limits. Automation can tell you some text is on a page, but not that the styling on a mobile phone is broken. Good test professionals understand the limits and plan a test strategy with both manual and automated testing. Should you have a testing team? No. Testing is a core part of the development process, and it needs to be done by the team. Adding a test team leads to lots of arguments about planning, tickets flying back and forth, and a slow process for everyone. Testers should be in the team working side by side with the developers to get things done in the right way. They need to report to the tech lead and work with them to plan the tools and pipelines. In our tech lead video, we discussed how they need to be responsible for everything, including testing, so our testers should always be reporting to them. It's important to keep this within the team to avoid a power struggle too. Testing is too important to get bogged down in politics. A test team will be focused on testing, but often without the wider context. The tech lead will focus on delivering a well-tested product that has the benefit of the day-to-day context of the business and what the team needs. They know if compromises have to be made and can take responsibility for them. It's much more complex with a standalone test team. An even worse pattern is when testers are in the team, but there's a separate head of test or test director. This is common, but should be avoided. The head of test will often be looking for reports and have to give sign-off on things, but they're too far removed to know what's really going on. The poor testers are stuck in the middle. They've got a tech lead and a head of test, both with conflicting requirements, and having to manage the politics of the two. Don't have a head of test. If you think your testing isn't good enough, talk to your tech lead, find out why, and give them the resources to fix it. Like everything in software engineering, there are specialists. There are security testers, accessibility testers, functional testers, API testers, and lots more. If you have some very specific needs and a budget for some of these people, great. But most of the time it's overkill. Good, experienced testers will have worked in all of these areas in the past. If they haven't, they can learn it quickly. For 99% of the projects, find a smart tester who's been doing it for a while, and they can cover all the specialist areas if you give them a bit of time to learn. So, a tester is there to make sure code does what it should do. They find the bugs before they get into production and give unique insight into the design of the system. Every team should have at least one tester. They will save a fortune in bugs and wasted effort. We want to thank AWS Gurus for sponsoring this series. AWS Gurus are our go-to team for anything relating to cloud and AWS. They are the experts in managing cloud in a secure and easy-to-use way. Check them out at the link below.